Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to World Online Racing. We're here this evening for what should be another fantastic race here in the Crossplay Tier 2 Championship. We are here at Suzuka, which is one of the home of motorsport in Japan, one of many. Of course, you have the Fuji Speedway as well, but it should be an absolutely fascinating race this evening. Joining alongside me for this evening's action is currently a very depressed McLaren fan after Formula 1 qualifying in Qatar. It is former World Online Racing champion. It is Mr. ETH Steve. How are you doing, Steve?
I've been better, obviously, but at the minute, I'm alright, to be honest.
It's good to hear. Right, let's get straight into action. And obviously we're starting half an hour later because of Formula 1 qualifying, so please don't all leave us in the middle of the race. But let's go straight into proceedings then, shall we? And let's take a look at our championship. We have 3 races left. You can ignore that American flag on the graphic, by the way. That was for what should have been a sprint race, but obviously ours was null and voided due to game issues. We have Suzuka, we have Silverstone, and we have Brazil remaining. But we're here in Suzuka this evening. It's a 16-point gap between Joe Murphy and Ogwin, meaning championship cannot be won today, which is always good news, to be honest. I always love hearing that the championship can't be won before the final round. We had the championship won at this stage last season with M Racer. He won about 3 races from the finish, but we did have more rounds, so this should be still a fascinating conclusion. But it's Joe Murphy on 128 points, with Ogwin in second, 16 behind. Then it's Furious with 40 back. Steve, is it safe to say it's a straight fight between Joe Murphy and Ogwin now?
I mean, it's never easy enough to rule out the other competitors, but as it stands, you would think it is just Ogwin versus Joe Murphy, and they're 2 of the most consistent drivers we've had so far this season. So you would think that that gap to the 3rd place and the drivers further back won't shrink too much to the top 2. So yeah, Ogwin and Joe Murphy surely are going to be the favourites and probably are the only 2 in contention for the title.
Yes, then it is Furious in 3rd, both Haas's in 3rd and 4th actually, Furious and Quantum. Then it is Venom, Gabor, Ian Van Unen, Schumacher, Chelsea, Elite Risks. And then from below that is Joao Pedro, Bobberts, Boots, Magician, Expert Almond, who we haven't seen in yonks, by the way, but he's still 15th in the championship. Then it is Jack, who we haven't seen in even longer, Zorzo, Typical, Dara, and Rain. That's your top 20. Bit of a mixed up top 20. In terms of the constructors' standings, they're not on the screen, but we can still have a quick look at them for you. It is, of course, Haas who lead the constructors' standings. They've been the best team this season, despite not having either driver over the 100 points mark. It is then Aston Martin, Alpine, Red Bull, Williams, Ferrari, McLaren, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, and Mercedes down the bottom with just 15 points, but they are tied with Alfa Romeo. It's very close between the 2. We're getting ready to go for qualifying here in Suzuka. Steve, you raced around Suzuka, obviously, as have I, many a time. It is a very, very difficult track.
It certainly is. I mean, it's one of the more conventional race circuits where it still punishes you for every error you make. I mean, it's easy to invalidate. We've actually got a wet session once again here for qualifying, but yeah, this circuit, it punishes you for every little error, easy to invalidate, just easy to go off the circuit and put it in the wall. It's one of those circuits where if you just break that little bit too late, it could be your qualifying or your race over within an instant.
As you can see, folks, we're on the screen now, as Steve informed us. It's raining here in Suzuka. That's never happened before, I reckon. Steve, have you ever seen rain around Suzuka?
Oh, no, I don't think I have, to be honest.
We'll try and get an update on what the weather is like for the race, but for now, it is raining. It is raining here in Suzuka, and the first car coming out of the pit lane is going to be one of the Alfa Romeos. It's actually the only Alfa Romeo, because it's the only team without 2 drivers. It is Mr. Tyrrell Martin, direct quotation from Steve before the stream, one of the founding fathers of league racing. He's the first man out of the garage, and I gotta say, Steve, these guys are on the inters, but that track looks awfully slippy.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw last time out in France, it's not close enough yet, I don't think, for the full wet tyres. So I think they are going to be safe on the intermediates, and I feel like this track is going to be ever improving throughout this session, and this rain intensity, it doesn't really shout full wet weather to me. So this track going to be constantly improving. Drivers are going to get more and more confidence in their cars. They're going to be fueled up for a few laps, maybe 2 or 3 laps, to just go around, get a feel for the circuit, and then also just get that final push lap in at the end. And we should be in for a very, very exciting qualifying session. A bit like how it was in France, where you had to leave it to the last minute. It's going to be the exact same thing here. And again, it can shake up the grids. And we could maybe have another surprise pole position this season.
Yeah, we certainly could. Bobberts, actually, before the session, I was talking to him in the Discord, said that he feels confident in his pace around here. He obviously took pole in very similar conditions around Zandvoort. It's a semi-similar circuit, is Suzuka and Zandvoort. And where I'm coming from that is straight line speed is not the biggest factor. Suzuka is a circuit that does decide the best from the best. It's kind of like a street circuit in that regard. By street circuit, Monaco, it's kind of like Le Mans, your Triple Crown races. A lot of people value Suzuka as the best F1 race on the calendar. It usually provides the goods. I gotta say, it's looking like a real retro circuit here in this weather. Whatever filters the game has put on it to look like the weather, I gotta say, it's looking absolutely stunning. But let's get into qualifying then. TRL Martin is going to be the first man to go on a qualifying lap. He passes a Red Bull that's exiting the pit lane, braking for the first 2 corners. Both right-handers, double right-handers, as you head up towards the S-curves. Then into the left and right, you're sort of using the one gear through here. You're not really changing. Some drivers, or what I used to do especially, was go up and down a lot, but some drivers find it more easier just to stick with the one gear. TRL Martin with a huge slide again, heading through Dunlop. He had one heading up through turn number 6 and 7, but he's had one through turn number 7 of the Dunlop curve as well. Then in towards Degner 1 and Degner 2, named after Ernst Degner. We'll talk more on him later during the break in action. And then down towards the turn 10 hairpin, which is coincidentally just called hairpin. It's a simple one to remember. You're looking for the outside of that corner, really. It's sort of a flatter part of the track. That's where you get the traction, especially in this wet weather. But this next curve is sort of one that is quite treacherous in these conditions, certainly from a side-by-side perspective. Oh, TRL Martin way too deep into Spoon Curve. He's ran right along the curb. Quite lucky, actually, to avoid an invalidation there, you'd have to think. And then heading down towards what is easily the most famous corner on this track. It is 130, or it is the left-hander that goes over the bridge where the Degners was. TRL Martin doesn't quite do it flat. We don't have the telemetry on, but you could tell by the trajectory of the car he didn't quite do it flat. He's actually not pushing, I don't think, at this point. He seems to have backed off, heading in towards the Casio Triangle. Now, full throttle. Yep, still 100% battery. TRL Martin is going to go again. This is still going to be the first time on the board. It's a 42.3. Here comes Typical. He's going to batter that with a 37.7. Much better from the Mercedes. Next is going to be the McLaren of ETA Dirk, a late race replacement for Lucas. Lucas not able to make it here this evening. Bobberts then starting his next lap as well. There's a Williams coming around the final corner in the background. That's Ian Van Unen, last week's race winner. 136.426 is the time that he has said. Here comes Envior, stonks across the line. He's not going to be able to beat his Williams teammate. Goes to third.
Yeah, brilliant lap time there actually from Ian Van Unen. He really does thrive in these conditions, really. You can see it last time out in the race, and then now here he's instantly hit the front. Yes, we've only had 8 lap times on the board, actually 7 proper laps on the board, so there's still time for people to improve, but Ian really does thrive in these conditions. Furious now puts himself up into second. That's Gabor going up into 6th place now. Times are coming in thick and fast, with so many drivers want to be out on the circuit as quickly as they possibly can to make sure they maximise the amount of knowledge they can get in these conditions, and also just the amount of laps that they can get to maximise their confidence around here. Who else do we have on the lap? That's Ruben going up to 8th in the other McLaren. Dirk's time is still good enough for 3rd. Venom not set a competitive lap time. Bobberts, I think, is on a lap now. Yes, he is heading through Spoon Curve and now heading up into 130R. What we're looking at in the middle sector for the Red Bull, it's going to be a 118.7. I think that's actually a very decent middle sector in these conditions. Now heading to the Casio Triangle, and TRL Martin with a brilliant lap time there, going nearly 3 tenths clear of Ian Van Unen. He hits the front of this session. The track does seem to be drying. Roberts to the line. Now what can he do? He goes up into 6th place with a 1 minute 36.9, but this track certainly is drying. You can see a lot of the standing water has been cleared. It is still intermediate conditions, but the times are going to keep tumbling at a very, very rapid pace.
Now, I'm not disrespecting the pace of Tyrrell Martin, but he did have a lap of experience over everyone else and had the tyres up to temperature, so keep that in mind. Here comes Schumacher, who was purple in the middle sector, but has had a rear slide entering in towards the Casio Triangle. Now bolts it out of the final corner, turn number 19, the last curve. He's going to go up onto the front row of the grid. That slide through the Casio Triangle is what separates him from first to second, because he just goes below Tyrrell Martin. It is an all-Ferrari powered front row, but quite crucially, it's not both Ferraris. The Gabor is down in 10th position. He was asking everybody, what's your PBs before this race? So he's obviously trying to get a little bit of insight, and he's feeling quite confident. We're looking at Lars Kramer, who's heading up through the S-curves now, and the specific curve being turn number 6. Then it's the left-hander of turn number 7, which is Dunlop. You get a great view of the Ferris wheel and the exit of the corner. Lars Kramer a little bit wide, just hanging on to the car through there. It's sort of like an IndyCar or NASCAR oval through that corner. If you go on the high side of this slightly banked corner, it kind of just falls, the car falls away from you, and you do lose it. So you got to be really careful through there, but Lars was, and he's now heading in towards turn number 10, or what one of the comments says, the Kobayashi curve. Of course, Kamui Kobayashi with a brilliant dive. I cannot remember who it was on. In his, it was a Sauber. Yeah, it was definitely a Sauber up the inside. Great move on that day. But AlphaTauri, of course, do have the home driver in Formula 1. There's no Japanese team or engine manufacturer technically on the grid, although Honda like to make their presence known at the best of times. Honda, of course, coming into the sport, and with Aston Martin very soon, but that's not relevant now. We'll keep an eye on Lars Kramer braking for the Casio Triangle. 100 metre board, it seems, still the brake. Oh no, definitely not. He's got way out of shape through there. That's a lot worse than Schumacher had it. A lot of mid-corner rotation, and Lars decides that it's not worth finishing the lap. He has pulled into the pit lane, that lap in the bin. Here comes Gabor now into the Casio Triangle, much slicker than his teammate. The Verstappen helmet in the Ferrari car still as cursed as ever, but Gabor looking to repeat Verstappen's tricks around this circuit. Across the line he goes, that's only going to be 10th. Quite ironically splits the two Red Bulls.
Yeah, Gabor not really having the pace so far compared to his teammate Schumacher, but Ogween promotes himself up into third place. It is ahead of Joe Murphy and Ian, only just behind Tyrrell Martin as well by about 13 thousandths of a second. So the times are tumbling, the track is getting quicker, and drivers are getting more and more confident. And with that, closer lap times that we are getting, because look at how close it is between that top three. 13 thousandths is the gap, and only 2 thousandths between the top two. So it is super, super close in this qualifying session. We've just watched Joe Murphy on a lap. He is sliding all over the place. He's got no rear end grip through Spoon Curve. He had none through Dunlop. And then again, on the exit of the hairpin, another huge slide for the Aston Martin. So yeah, 1.6 seconds down. That is understandable. Furious on the lap. He was up in the first sector. What about in the middle sector? He's coming across the sector split now. He's actually lost a bit of time on his lap. But let's have a look through the Casio Triangle and 130 yards, see what he can do down into here. Braking down to third gear. Clips that first apex quite nicely. Puts himself out to the second one. That's Dirk going up into fourth place as well. He's been really quick so far in this session. Furious to the line. He goes quickest. Furious goes quickest with a 1 minute 36.126. And that is... Excuse me, that is the most separated we've had the top two in quite a while.
Furious found an awful lot of time in that final sector, didn't he? Keep an eye on ET8 Dirk. He won another high competitive F2 league here. Oh, he almost blocks an Alpine though. He won the white controller and the blue background league, as we like to call it in this division around here. Yeah, as Quantum, we're looking at him getting awful out of shape through the Degner curves. Degner 2 has gone somehow even worse than almost beaching your car, and he's invalidated his hot lap. But for such a technical circuit, in such difficult conditions, we have the top 4 separated by less than a 10th of a second. That's mighty impressive around a circuit like Suzuka. In terms of our championship battle, it's Ogween in 4th, Joe in 8th. Keep an eye on that, although points are scored on Sunday, or in 7 minutes' time in terms of WOR, as Ogween way out of shape through the Kobayashi curve, as that's the new name I'm adopting, and that's a brilliant name, by the way. yeah, way out of shape through there. But another thing we gotta remember is the race, I've just checked the Discord, is seemingly in the dry. So these guys are all on dry setups here, and this is not going to be an indication of their pace in the dry. One man who is flying in these conditions is NVR Stonks. I wonder, can he transfer this pace into the main Grand Prix, because he's not a man who we usually see up the top of the running order. TL Martin is back out on circuit for another go here in the Alfa Romeo. He, of course, was the man who went quickest at the end of all the first runs, up through the Dunlop curve and down towards the two Degner curves through 8 and 9. Oh, way down on his time there, but maybe Martin... Oh, well, forget about that. He's invalidated his lap. That's going to be the end of the day for Martin. Just briefly, he'll get back out again, or he'll go again if he's fueled up the car enough. As Steve was saying earlier, usually drivers will fuel up the car a little bit and get a good few laps in, because consistency means a lot more than tyre wear in conditions like this. But Stonks, we're currently looking at him head through Spoon Curve, massive slide there, exiting the corner. He's caught it well, the Williams on his way down towards 130R.
Yep, Stonks is doing quite well in this session. He's down by about 8 seconds, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does pull into the pit lane, put on a fresh set of intermediates. You get 3 sets of intermediates for this session, and of course, if the race is dry, you might as well use up all 3 sets and get the maximum allocation out of the game as Stonks comes into pit lane just behind his teammate Ian Van Oonen, so there'll be a little bit of a delay for NVR Stonks. TRL Martin also coming into the pit lane. He's going to put on another fresh set of tyres. Schumacher is on a lap time right now. Of course, he did have that slide through the Casio triangle. Again, he has a little bit of a slide on entry.
He's
but
way
what can
down,
he
Steve.
do? He's backed off.
Yeah, he was way down.
Really noticed at that time. Joe Murphy starting though, he's invalidated a lap. This is probably where we're going to get to the quieter part of the session though, where everyone just is waiting for the last, say, 3.5 minutes, and then they'll go out once again. But a few drivers still out on lap time, one of them being Lars in the AlphaTauri, heading through the first few corners now, heading into turn 6, which then leads into Dunlop Curve, and it's a really tricky corner to get right. Very easy to drop the rear end, even though it is in the dry, a flat out corner. Still extremely tricky in those conditions. Up by about half a second is Lars. This lap could be on for maybe provisional pole if he keeps up as he is, but he still does have to navigate the next 2 sectors, heading into the Kobayashi curve, as Evan likes to call it now, down to 3rd gear. Needs a good exit out of here to give you the best run possible through this next long right-hander and into Spoon Curve. Going all the way up to 8th gear, probably maybe just holding it in 7th. Yes, he is, before he hits the brakes, but he's gone in well too deep there, braking at where you would probably brake in the dry, and that's his lap over. He probably won't improve on this one, going super, super wide through the Spoon Curve, and that is Lars' lap over. And now we start to see drivers come out to start their final runs of the session.
Yes, it is. It's go time. Right on 3 minutes 30, as Steve said. We're going to remove the best tyre, folks, because they're all on the intermediates. There's going to be no change to the end. If there's someone who comes out in the slicks and is brave enough to tempt their fate, we will let you know. Joe has gone for another lap, but it's already invalid. So he is not having a good time of things, I suppose you could say. He's not having an enjoyable evening so far here in Suzuka. But qualifying is not Joe's strong suit. Whoa! Look who's back. Bobberts goes quickest. 36 dead. Bobberts invites himself to the party once more. That is a very good lap from Bobberts. I think it will be beaten over the duration of the remainder of the session, but that puts the pressure on Furious, who now has to get a lap in. He's heading through the Casio triangle now. 2 minutes 30 to go. Theoretically has time for 2 more runs here. The battery might not last, but he theoretically has time to go over the checker twice and still be on a valid run. Red Bull 1-2 now. There goes Venom. You could just see him in the background of the shot come across the line. It is a Red Bull 1-2. They have found something here in Suzuka. That car is motoring well now, or else it could be track evolution. We're still looking at Furious, who's currently in P3, 0.125 of. Let's see what he can do here. The sector split is just before the Degners, so up through Dunlop Curve now. The Haas well more in shape through there. What's his first sector like? He's improving. Not enough by Paul, is improving. Maybe able to get a position over Venom if he keeps tracking of this rate. There's a Mercedes in front that'll have to get out of the way for Furious, but he's heading up through the right-hander now, braking for turn number 10. The Haas rotates it in nicely. That's a really nice line from Furious. This is a great lap so far from him. Now just rotating the car through what is still flat out just about. If it was any wetter than this, I think it might not be flat out through turn 12. Braking for spoon curve, a 13 and 14. The Haas Jaws gets the car in nicely, using the curbs very effectively to aid the rotation, the mid-corner rotation, very important through spoon curve here, sort of feathering the throttle and brake through that corner. Let's go on board through 130 or monster middle sector for Furious. He hangs on through one of the most dangerous corners in motorsport, brakes at the 100-meter board. Gabor finally puts his hot lap in. He goes quickest, 135.6. Here comes Furious. He's gonna smash this lap to pieces, you feel. Across the line goes Furious. No, it's only second. Gabor has delivered right at the end. The Mercedes crosses the start-finish line in the background. That's just a starter lap. Bobber's 30 seconds down, goes for another run. Venom, his teammate, is going to do the same. Is TRL Martin tracking well? No, he's backed off. He was a tenth and a half to the better, but he's backed off. That's quite weird for TRL Martin. Quantum improving by 0.2 of a second for the first sector, but remember, this middle sector is so long that it make or break your lap, really. There's a lot of time for things to go wrong. Rain retires from the session. He'll start a best of 18th, probably 19th once Jack gets a decent lap in. Quantum braking for the Casio Triangle. Traffic in front, but should be okay as there's only one more corner to go and it is flat. Joe Murphy goes to second. Behind his BRT Esports teammate, Ogween, best of 9th, didn't make the line. Quantum goes to 6th position. Venom is down on his time. Bobberts can't get anything better than what he's already got. Joe Murphy backs off as well. He's delivered at the right points. Gabor is improving as well, heading through the first sector. Heading through the middle sector, I should say. No, he's backed off his time now. He is 3.5 of a second down. Keep an eye further down the field as well at TRL Martin. He's coming up towards the sector split as well and towards the Degners. Let's see what the Alfa Romeo can do here. And he is up. So this is good for TRL Martin. He's finding time. Needs to find way more time, though, you feel, heading through there. What about Ian Van Unen, who we know is fairly crafty through these sort of conditions? He was finding 0.5 of a second here in towards Spoon Curve. But let's just wait and see. Next across the start-finish line is going to be an Aston Martin. It's going to be Jack who pulls into the pit lane, so he will actually be starting a best of 19th. One of the Red Bulls through the final corner now. This is Bobbitt. Has he found time? Here comes Bobbitt across the line. He found time, but it was not enough for a positional improvement. Next is going to be Lars Kramer to cross the start-finish line. Nope, going to be the other one. It's OP Twist who jumps up to 11th spot. Here comes Ian Van Unen through the Casio Triangle. Venom pulls into the pit lane. He's done here in qualifying. Can Ian Van Unen produce the goods once again here in Japan? He absolutely can! 1:35.429. It's a man on form. It's Ian Van Unen who goes to the top here. There's still those who could beat him, though. Joe Murphy backed off his time. What about TRL Martin? Is it going to be the ultimate shock here in Suzuka? No, it's not. TRL Martin to 7th. Ian Van Unen, take a bow. The man on form is the man on pole.
Brilliant by Ian. He just really comes alive in these wet conditions, and he just seems unstoppable. Once a bit of rain comes on the track, he just seems unstoppable. 2 attempts clear of Gabor, which we thought that lap time wouldn't be toppled at all, but Ian flying through that lap. Absolutely brilliant from him. Joe Murphy, we've got to wait for him to get round, either back to the pit lane or to cross the line. Hopefully he just goes and crosses the line, to be honest, because it'll be a lot quicker for us all. But what a lap time there from Ian. Joe Murphy in a really good position as well for the championship fight. Ogween down in 12th. So as long as Joe Murphy just stays where he is, it's going to make Ogween's life a lot more difficult. And that championship lead could be extended by the time we finish the 27th lap of this Grand Prix. But that's qualifying over. Ian Van Unen on pole. We are going to be in for a very, very good race.
We're going to be in for an absolute corker, you feel. Ian Van Unen on pole by 0.2 which is quite sad in a way because we had such a close qualifying. Ian goes and blows it out of the water. 35-4 for Ian. Gabor then in second with Joe Murphy, Furious, Lars, Bobbert, TRL Martin, Venom, Quantum, Stonks, Schumacher. Then it's Ogween, Twist, Dirk, Typical, Elite Risks, Ruben, Rain, and then Jack, unfortunately, was 12 seconds off. Didn't get a lap in all session. Disappointing for the Aston Martin. Well, folks, as we said, absolute corker coming up, but not until we have a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with the Japanese Grand Prix after this short commercial break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Suzuka. It is going to be, hopefully, a very fantastic race. But first, let's take a look at our track map for this evening. 5.821 kilometer circuit, 3.617 miles, 18 corners, and an average of 48 gear changes, but it's a lot more difficult than that. Ian has a 405 metre run from pole to turn number 1 to defend, the longest flat-out section, of course, being from Spoon Curve to the braking zone of the Casio Triangle, which is just shy of a kilometre. It's 994 metres. 66% of the track at full throttle, which is quite high for a circuit with such amount of corners. Of course, the first F1 race here in 1987 didn't start too well. Nigel Mansell suffered a heavy crash in qualifying, and that ruled him out of the race, handing the title to Nelson Piquet. We've had many controversial, I suppose you could say, championship battles here across the years. We've had Senna and Prost each other more than once, but this could be a crucial race for this evening, a crucial race for this season here in World Online Crossplay Tier 2. But Steve, who wins it?
I'm gonna go for you know what? I feel like Ian might have just done it in qualifying, and we know that as soon as he gets that wet weather, he does become good. But in the dry races, he has always been up there, but he's never had the pace to win it in the dry, I don't think. So I'm going to go for Gabor to win this one.
You know, I like that call, Steve. I think Ian is a very good wet weather driver, but he's not necessarily proved the same level of pace in the dry. Obviously, he's a fantastic racer. So we do got to keep an eye how he leads from the front here in the dry, because I don't think he's ever led from the front in dry conditions. Obviously very good in the wet. Christian Block in the chat saying Ian clear. Make sure if you're still watching, folks, to leave who you think is going to win in the stream chat. We do love to read them out. The most successful driver here in Formula 1 across the years, that's Michael Schumacher, of course. And two Japanese drivers have scored podiums here at Suzuka. Guri Suzuki in 1990 and Kamui Kobayashi in 2012. We don't have any Japanese drivers on the grid, quite unfortunately, because they're usually very handy racers, and we'd love to see the Japanese fans celebrate a home podium. But here we go then, folks. 5 red lights. And we go racing here in Japan. Ian instantly covers off in towards turn number 1. Gabor has to get creative with his lines into the first corner. Van Unen leads through the first corner. Gabor on the hard tyres. Ian has gone for the mediums, may be able to bolt away at the start, but there's a multiple car collision. That's your championship leader. That's Joe Murphy around and into the wall in an incident with Lars Kramer. Schumacher into the wall and out of the Grand Prix. Rain has rotated through the S curves and he's around as well. What a controversial start here in Suzuka. Murphy down to 17th.
From what seemed to be the highs of qualifying, it's the lows of this opening lap. Yes, he does have time to come back in this one, Joe Murphy, but it's disaster. He's lucky there's a safety car thanks to Schumacher crashing. But that is just the mistake and just the incident that he did not need, being so far ahead of his championship rival Ogween. And look, all that carnage has promoted Ogween up into 9th place. He's already back into the points-paying positions, and he's had a really, really good start here. He's up a total of 3 places. So started in P12, now up into P9. So Ogween, he would have dreamed of that happening before the race, and it has happened. Joe Murphy down 14 spots because of that incident. Got jumped by Furious. That I think Lars maybe tried it on the exit of turn 2. Little bit of contact made. Both of them spinning into the wall. And it's disaster for Joe Murphy. But Ian, as well, we got to look out for him. He is on the alternate strategy to everybody else. He's starting on the mediums compared to a lot of the drivers other than Quantum on the hards. So we need to look out to see how his race goes. I say that, he tried dummying everybody into the pit lane. But this is a good time for Quantum, maybe, to think about pitting next lap. But I don't think the hards would make it to the end. So, Ian, we really need to look out on how that strategy plays out. And everyone below typical, because of all that melee at the start, in the pit lane.
Well, we have currently every dry tyre available on these cars, but there's an awful lot more gone for that medium one. We only had 2 at the race start, but there's been a quick change in strategy. There goes Lars Kramer with a new front wing. Exact same for Joe Murphy. He's gone onto the medium tyres now. Was on the hards, he's gone onto the mediums. So your tyres, it's Ian at the top on the mediums. Obviously felt he needed that extra grip to get away because it wasn't a great launch for me, and he instantly came over to defend from Gabor. It was a successful endeavour in the end. But the Williams, he's on a different strategy now. Gabor on the hards, as well as Furious, Bobberts and Tyrrell Martin. Quantum went for the softs. That's a weird one. Steve, any logic behind that, or is that just pure, just vibes?
I think that's just pure, just try and make up as many positions as you possibly can at the start, to be fair. I mean, I don't know why he's gone in it. I reckon if you want to do something like go onto the mediums, because then you're roughly on a similar strategy to everybody else, you just get the slower tyre near the end of the race. So, I mean, he's probably hoping this strategy works. Maybe even just trying to prolong those softs out to a medium compound at one point during the race. So, we're just going to see how his strategy plays out the race. It's a very interesting one, and we'll see when he pits. I know the soft tyres do fall off quite quickly around this circuit, so it's going to be a hard one for him to stay in contention for the race win, but we're just going to have to wait and see how he does.
Yeah, I definitely think a soft hard could be the way to go, but this safety car could prolong it enough for the mediums. The medium traditionally might not be the case now because of course the tyre wear model has changed, but traditionally the medium is a very solid tyre around Suzuka. Whatever the elements of it may be, whatever way the atoms are connected, it's a very good tyre around this Suzuka International Circuit. Typical into the pit lane, he obviously is just getting the mandatory tyre change out of the way and wants to go onto a different tyre, which he does. He goes onto the mediums, does typical. So Mercedes now down in 16th and 17th. Both Aston Martins out of the points paying positions as well. Both Haas is in 3rd and 6th, which makes the constructors' standings look fairly pretty because of course it is Haas versus Aston Martin. Mercedes down in last, of course, as we said before the stream. They're currently 16th and 18th and not looking like they're going to score points. But safety car on lap 3. You are watching World Online Racing Crossplay Tier 2. While we have the chance, I'd like to remind you that you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, of course, for more races just like this one on console. We have a couple of PC events coming up as well, I think, Esports Invitationals is their official name. But yeah, it's basically just races with the top guys that you can tune in. Of course, we have the other PC tiers as well that you can tune into. We've got the final 3 races in all of these categories. And yeah, you're going to want to be a part of it. But, Steve, from here on, what does Ian do in terms of his strategy? Because this safety car is probably very mistimed for him, because he was obviously going to go for medium hard, go for hards at the end of the race and defend. Can he maybe do medium soft?
No. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any chance of doing a medium soft around here. I mean, he can try prolong it, but you'll lose so much time in the process. You won't be able to make that back up on the softs, just due to how quickly they just hit the cliff around this track. It's so tire demanding that give it, say, 3 or 4 push laps, say, on the softs, you're not going to be really anywhere near quicker than the guys on the mediums near the end of the race. So Ian, he'll probably just lengthen out till he goes onto the hard tyres, tries to maximise those mediums as much as possible. But the safety car isn't at the end of this lap. He's about to get underway, probably on the exit of the Casio Triangle, and we're surely going to be in for a brilliant rest of the race.
And we go racing once again here in Suzuka. Ian has got a good launch there. He's got a really good launch down towards turn number 1. Furious with a good launch on the back of Gabor as well. But it's his teammate who's making the moves. Quantum up past Hero Martin. That's expected on those soft compound tyres. And Martin, I think, is just going to let him just run away with that one and let him go on a bombing run pretty much up through the field. But a good restart everywhere else. We're a lot cleaner this time round. It seemed to be a bit of a freak incident on the end of turn number 2. Ian Van Unen heading through turn number 7 now, still with a comfortable lead. You'd expect Ian to run away a little bit here, Steve. Or at least I think so. You'd expect him to just bolt away on those mediums, because they are still much quicker than the hards, apologies.
Yeah, expect him to at least break that DRS he was hoped by the end of the next lap. I mean, we have a move here from Dirk down the inside of Twist, using his mediums perfectly. These guys, of course, will have to make another stop. You can't take the mediums to the end. Quantum getting past Bobbits as well. He's got a brilliant run out the hair of the Kobayashi curve, as we like to call it here now. And he's now up to 4th, but he's gone really wide at Spoon. Luckily, is able to keep the car in a straight line. But don't forget, everyone below Ogween, who is on the mediums, will have to pit again, and that really does affect how their race runs, because they'll probably go on to another set of mediums, to be honest, because most of them did start on the hards. Ian breaks out a DRS. That is DRS sorted from, I say that, he loses 2 tenths to the Casio Triangle. So Ian not out a DRS just yet from Gabor behind, but I wouldn't be surprised if Furious and Quantum, if Quantum gets close enough, the Hasses do switch, because if Quantum's able to get past Gabor, maybe try get to the back of Ian as well, he can then hold him up, help Furious get through, or Quantum can just go flying off down the road and hopefully Furious be able to catch up. But this race, the strategy battle that's going to ensue, is going to be really, really interesting.
Despite having the better tyres, Ian Van Unen not capitalising on it. He's losing time to Gabor behind. Gabor seems to have a natural ability to drag lap time out of this Suzuka circuit. Was very close to getting pole. Of course, Ian hit his lap in latest, which might have had some better track evolution, but look, we'll never really know. And Ian is starting to succumb to the pressure maybe a little bit here around Suzuka. Martin looking to try get past Bobberts. Bobberts seems to be struggling just a tad through this middle sector here in his Red Bull. He is the better of the 2 Red Bulls. Venom down to 12th, despite them being close in qualifying. 5 tenths now between Ian and Gabor. Gabor certainly closing in. Maybe this medium not as good as we thought, because the medium runners are not really cutting in to these hard tyre runners here in this middle sort of stint in the race. You'd expect those who are on the mediums to be able to fly past Twist, fly past Ogween, Stonks, that lot, but they're not necessarily doing that. And Ian definitely struggling out of the Casio Triangle. Here comes Gabor looking to try and lead the race for the first time. The Ferrari's the outside in towards turn number 1. Is it going to be a late lunge from him? It was looking like he was going to go over the inside, but he just backed off. You've really got to be alongside in towards that first corner. There's no attempt for a dive bomb because of the nature of it, because it's such a high speed kink, and then in towards a tighter right-hander. You've got to be alongside for a move through there. He was not, so he didn't go for it. Wise decision, wise racing from Gabor through there for Ferrari. Gabor, of course, the main driver alongside Schumacher. Now he's the third Ferrari driver to be in that seat, but I think he is he's the most successful one. Apologies, folks, if my mic is cutting in and out. It's just having a mare really this evening, so I do apologise if I sound funny at some points. Please do let me know if it gets too bad, and I can try solve it. But lap 6 out of 27, plenty of racing to go. Typical has overtaken Lars Kramer. There's a bit of a side-by-side moment here heading through turn number 10. It's Typical who's up on the inside of these three in their own individual battle, way down the back of the grid, 3.7 seconds off Joe Murphy. Not sure if it's just bad pace or if they were involved in another incident, but let's wait and see then. Heading towards the Casio Triangle, is Gabor any closer for a move up the inside of the Williams? Certainly, he's quick in the slipstream, but he's going to sit behind, plays it smart, looking for the DRS in towards turn number 1. You feel Gabor exits the final corner now, and not got as good a launch as he had the last time. Is he going to burn any battery? I don't believe so, but the DRS could work its own powers here. Heading in towards turn number 1, the Ferrari goes for the move up the inside. The two Hasses are lying astern there in the background, and Gabor leads here in Suzuka. Ferrari on top in Japan. Gabor now ahead on the hard tyres. Quantum overtakes Furious. Quantum, though, continues his bombing run and is looking to get past Ian now ASAP pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, Ian has been really struggling out of that low-speed corners with those medium tyres. They've really hit the cliff for some reason, and he's just not able to do anything with it. He's just really struggling for traction. Quantum, though, on those softs, still going strong, and is still showing some very good pace. Of course, DRS now being enabled does make some of those overtaking moves a bit easier for some of these drivers. OP Twist and Elite Risks having a little scrap. This is over the last points paying position on the circuit. They're going to go side by side now through the right-hander. Elite Risks probably going to have the better run. They've got the slipstream of Dirk in front. Could Elite go for the pair of them into Spoon Curve? No, he has to back out. It's wide by the AlphaTauri, but maybe Venom might try and pick up a few pieces from this one. Elite Risks looking to the inside now as they head up into 130R. It's going to be oh so close as they get to the top of the hill, but no, just has to sit behind the AlphaTauri once more. Ian's getting closer to Gabor, but here comes OP Twist on the outside of Dirk in front. Will Elite Risks look for it? No, he will not, but it's now about the run down the main straight. Who might get the better traction? You would think the drivers on the medium tyres. Venom looking for a move now on Elite Risk. He got a little bit squirmy, maybe at the way Elite Risk defended that. It could be a very close battle into turn 1. Venom on the inside. Elite Risk goes wide. Venom up into P11, and OP Twist somehow, with those medium runners behind him, manages to hang on to P10, and Ian still in second place.
Crazy. That's madness. What a scrap in the middle of the pack, and it's Dirk who comes out on top. Twist then in 10th, and then it's Venom, Elite Risks, and Ruben 9/10 adrift now gets back into DRS because of that one. So his McLaren teammate, as did him a bit of a maybe an unknown favour, but still at the top. It's sort of a rainbow in the top 3. It's hards, mediums, and softs. Gabor, although if you showed someone this out of context, they'd be going, why the hell are the hard tyres the quickest ones? But that's just the way it is here in Suzuka. The hard tyres are the quickest one in this field. Surely Quantum's going to have to be coming into the pit soon, Steve.
Yeah, I would think so, but he's still showing really good pace on those soft tyres. Maybe give him till lap 10. Maybe lap 11 he'll come in, but those softs still going strong. He's not really struggling too much, maybe being helped a bit by the DRS, but to be honest, even out of the slow speed corners, he's still keeping up with the likes of Ian. And we might actually have a move from Ian on Gabor as DRS open on the Williams. He might just get by to block off the attack from Quantum maybe in the next few laps. Yes, he gets the move done. Bobbitts is looking at Furious. He can't get the move done either. But Ian now back up at the front of the field. Quantum may be looking for it around the outside of turn 3. But no, just sits behind the Ferrari. And Ian back up into the race lead. Gabor now back down to second. And we do have a really interesting race on our hands with all 3 different strategies on show. And of course, still the medium runners down at the back of the pack, all going to be squabbling it out for those lower points paying positions. As Ian is maybe he was just nursing his tyres in and wasn't pushing too hard to make sure he gets a good final part of the stint. As actually we have TRL Martin and Bobbitt's fighting, OP Twist and Dirk as well. OP Twist managed to get past the McLaren, and now the McLaren's under threat from Shazoo Venom behind. Will Venom be able to get close enough and a good enough run into Spoon Curve to make the move done? No, it doesn't look like it, and he has to sit behind the McLaren once more. But those medium tyres on all the cars really aren't really showing too much pace compared to those hard tyres, who at this moment in time are looking like the better tyre to be on.
Here comes Venom. Venom's gone for the outside through 130. Oh, the Red Bull. Oh, tries to switch back up the inside. Can he break late for the Casio triangle? He can break late. Can't break late enough. Dirk defends it. Dirk would have been all over his mirrors there, keeping an eye on that Red Bull. Bit of a snap from Twist in front as well, and his car gets in a bit of a twist. Here comes Venom, looking for the outside now. Going to tow off the Red Bull powertrain. Alpatari in front now. The outside for turn number 1. Dirk brakes a lot later. Dirk with a lot more confidence in his braking. There is brake pads, which Formula 1 cars don't have, but his brake pads are working quite nicely there, and Venom is going to have to sit behind for the time being in 11th position. Up in front, Stonks now pressuring TRL Martin, but a bit of an up and down race so far. 1 minute he's attacking someone, next minute he is trying to defend from someone who's right up his gearbox. But an interesting race from Martin, who started this season off in Tier 1, of course. He was demoted by choice, I believe, down towards Tier number 2, and now he's racing here with us. Pleasure to have you, Martin, as always, as Ruben goes for the move and Elite Risks now into the Kobayashi curve, turn number 10. Gets the job done, and that is Ruben up to 12th spot for McLaren. Further up, Quantum now finally trying to pressure Gabor. Of course, he couldn't get past Ian when Ian was in second spot. He's now looking to try and get past Gabor when Gabor is in second spot. And can he go for it? No, not really. 17 laps, or there will be 17 laps left in this race. And I'm not really too sure how this strategy is going to play out, because remember, some people have made that pit stop, but surely they're going to make it again. I don't see those tyres going to the end of this race, and Quantum certainly going to have to make a pit stop pretty imminently, because you can see him visibly struggling. Gabor, is he close enough for the move here in towards turn 1? The Ferrari is, and he's got to go for it. Late braking for Gabor. He gets the job done. Gabor, your new race leader, or your race leader who's back in the race lead. Of course, he's led once before this race, but he's back in the race lead. Dirk looking for the move on Twist, but Twist just stays ahead, and the Twist train is starting to develop here, it seems, in the battle for 9th.
Yeah, it's a bit like the trolley train, isn't it, here for Twist, and it really is just Twist hanging on for dear life. And I mean, to be honest, he did get Dirk did get past him, but down the main straight once again last time around, Twist was able to get back by with Venom as well, putting so much pressure on him as Dirk having to defend from the Red Bull. Lars crashes out of the Grand Prix.
Ooh.
That's a safety car at the Dunlop curve. This is a pivotal moment in this race, and Quantum, in his Haas, is probably cheering for joy.
Yeah, there's going to be celebrations in Quantum Simric, that's for sure. Probably celebrations in Ian's as well, dare I say, because that has, that's a turning point. And those drivers who pit off their hards to go into mediums on lap 1 are going to be feeling like Albert Einstein now, because they can go onto that hard to the end of the race, where a medium might make it, you know. A medium may well make it, and let's see what they go for. Gabor into the pits. Everybody's going to be coming into the pits here. Literally every car in the field. If someone stays out, they're very silly. But it's quite crucial what tyres they go for. The first man to give the indication is going to be Bobberts for his pit stall. He's gone for the mediums. So Bobberts goes on to a set of the medium compound of tyres. Furious, it's Quantum who goes for the hards. Furious now in the box now. He's gone for the mediums. He had to double stack. So Quantum for the hards. Gabor has gone for the mediums. Ian on the hards. So Quantum, of course, had free choice for the medium or hard because he was on the soft. So interesting to see he's opted for the hards. Obviously sees they have a bit of pace in them, and the degradation not too bad. Bobbert's down to Joe Murphy, gone for the mediums. Risks has gone back onto his 1 lap old used hards. Typical the same, but 2 laps, and Jack on for the 1.
Hawkwind's gained, I think, 2 places because of this pit stop and everyone being held up in the pit lane. Twist up 3. He was in 10th place. He's now up into 7th. That pit window really did help these two drivers. And I mean, Twist was holding up a massive train behind him, and to be clear of Dirk by a car now, and of course Furious having to drop down those places because of the double stack. Twist and Ogween put themselves in really, really good positions thanks to that and being the lead driver for their team. So it's going to be interesting now to see, do the mediums make it to the end? Do the hards become better near the end of the race and by enough to win the Grand Prix? It's going to be a massive guessing game now. I'm surprised Quantum's gone onto the hards, to be fair. I would have expected him to go onto the mediums. But for Ian Van Unen, it's the obvious choice. You've got to go on those hard tyres. So we're just going to have to wait and see now. It's a guessing game. A majority thinking the mediums will make it to the end. Safety car will probably be in at the end of next lap, lap 13, because it has to be out for a full lap to then come back into the pit lane. So expect it to be in at the end of the next one. If it comes in at the end of this one, I'm completely wrong. But no, it is going to be the end of the next lap. And yeah, expect a very, very interesting race for Quantum and Ian, because can they hang on at the start of this stint to be very, very close to Gabor at the end?
Yeah, this is intriguing. Because what we saw from the first stint was the hards were on pace, on level, maybe slightly better than the mediums. And now it's the drivers in second and third who are on the hards, and 14th, 15th and 16th, but dare I say 16th, that's why Rain went on the softs. They're pitting again and going on to the mediums. They just didn't want to wear them down, so that's why he went for the softs. That's quite clever, actually, by Rain, because he was at the back anyway, so he can afford to make that extra pit stop. Safety car will be in at the end of this lap. Your running order as of now is Gabor, Ian, Quantum, Bobberts, Martin, Ogween, Twist, Stonks, Dirk, Furious, Venom, Ruben, Murphy, Risks, Jack, Typical and Rain. Your non-finishers are Lars Kramer and Schumacher. Schumacher retiring on the first lap of the Grand Prix. Steve, did you actually see what happened to Schumacher? Because I didn't, and I don't think we actually spoke about this.
No, I didn't see what happened either. I was focused. I was actually on the lead train before the safety car when the VSC come out, and then I just see he's retired from the race. Unless he got collected, maybe by the likes of. No, hold on.
I've checked the Discord, and he said same. A word I can't say on stream every week, which would make me think it's that wheel issue back again.
No.
Because he didn't hit anyone else and was in a part of the track where if you're going to crash, you're going to hit someone else. So it would
Was it straight on at turn 3 then? Or turn 2?
I think it could have been straight on at turn 3. I think that could have been the issue potentially.
That's what's plagued him this season. I mean, he could have been in championship contention right here, right now, but the crash in Belgium that he had on the final lap, those 2 wheel disconnects in Saudi Arabia and Spain, it's just not gone to plan for him. He's had so much pace this season. He's been a joy to watch fighting through the field as well. It's just super unfortunate. Safety car is in at the end of this one, but Schumacher, those issues plague him, and unfortunately his championship challenge has never really materialised. But Gabor, when does he decide to go? Probably maybe in the middle of the Casio Triangle this time, to maybe get the best run he possibly can on those medium tyres.
Yeah, you don't do what Latifi did and turn at the wrong one, but no, Gabor's got it right. He's going to go in the middle of the Casio Triangle here. No, he's going to exit the end of it and accelerate out of the corner. We go racing once again here in Japan. What a restart from Quantum. He's got the tyres up to temperature. He's raring to go in towards turn number 1. Pulls to the inside of the Dutchman. Ian Van Unen looking for the spot, but Ian, with monstrous straight line speed, keeps the position over the Haas Formula 1 car. Rain is out of the Grand Prix. He's retired in the pit lane, actually, has Rain, so that's a bit of a weird one. He has retired from the race, and you can see Quantum still hunting down Ian. Quantum very quick on the soft tyres. We haven't got a taste of him on the hard tyres yet, but we will await and see. Ian struggling a little bit through the Dunlop curb. The rear of the car wants to step out for Ian, but it didn't, and he's kept firm. Remember, Ian's not done any laps on anything other than the mediums. Although saying that, Quantum's not done anything laps other than the soft, so completely invalidate that point. That is a meaningless sentence, because they're both on level pegging. They haven't driven these hard tyres yet, where Gabor has driven the hard, so this is going to be a step in the right direction in terms of comfortability for the Ferrari Formula 1 car, but all stays the same, no real positional swaps on the restart lap.
No, I mean, everybody keeping it very clean. It was super, super close together, heading through the first sector as it's unfortunate for Rain, really. I think it's because he was back on the soft tyres and he had to go back into the pit lane once again. So unfortunate for Rain. Gabor about 6 tenths clear of Ian behind. Ian has used a lot of his battery, crucially. So maybe that's why he had such good straight line speed on the exit to safety car restart, because he used so much battery down that main straight. But we're going to have to look out for these medium runners behind these two drivers on the hards of Ian and Quantum, because the likes of Bobbert, Martin and Ogween, they're very quick drivers, and they will go for moves and they will punish you if you make that tiny little error. And they've got to be on their A game, these two drivers on the hard. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Ian's still keeping around about half a second behind Gabor, but it seems that he is maybe struggling with a bit of front end rotation through that first sector.
Keep an eye on Bobberts as well. He's in 4th. Bobberts not scored a podium so far this season, and he feels he's been robbed of a few wins, so he is certainly looking for a bit of a comeback here. He's in good spirits as always, is Bobberts, and it would be lovely to see him take a podium, but he's going to have to fight for this one. Certainly going to have to give it all his gusto and try to win this. Gabor is sort of pulling away a little bit, 8 tenths of a second. Ian's got to be careful, he keeps in DRS here, which could be why he is burning an awful lot of battery. Quantum not burning as much because he's going to have the DRS regardless, because he's behind Ian, of course. And it seems like Gabor, there was a reason he was so confident. He has good outright pace here, but he's just got to be smart about it. They all go line astern down towards 130, or from 1st down to 16th. There's no one who has been dropped from the pack just yet, and Gabor is not about to drop Ian because Ian's burned even more battery, seems to have a bit of a straight line speed advantage anyways, and he is now within 7 tenths of a second. So can't open the wing on this lap. He'll be able to open it, well, if he's within a second next time round. That's the little bit of trickery about Suzuka. There's only one DRS zone, so it's technically 4 laps until the DRS opens, because of course it opens going on to the 3rd, but you don't get it until the 4th lap. But Gabor still within that still within that 1 second to Ian behind, but he's looking to pull away. Bobbert's 3 tenths of a second, behind Quantum. He is looking for a move, and Joe Murphy as well in 13th is looking for a move on Ruben. Ogween in 6th would be outscoring him by quite a bit, and that would be a bit of a haul back in the championship. But, and I say but, we still have a lot to go here in this race. There could still be chaos up and down the field very quickly.
Yeah, it certainly can, especially with Ian dropping out a DRS from Gabor. That could be crucial and could maybe cause a little bit of chaos due to some drivers maybe trying to get past, or just Ian being the cork in the bottle and just being super, super slow in front of everybody else. Joe Murphy does get past Ruben there in his Aston Martin. So Joe Murphy trying to make his way up through the field. We know he's had some bad qualifying. He's had to make his way back up through the order. As Quantum getting closer to Ian as they're now heading into the Casio triangle. Will that Haas pull to the inside? No, he's just going to back off and allow the Williams to go through the Casio first. A big rear slide though for the Williams of Ian Van Unen as they now head down the main straight. DRS will be open for Quantum. He'll need to get by as soon as possible, really, to maximise being behind Gabor. He gained at the wrong time. Roberts gained at the wrong time. He just got boxed in between the Haas and the Williams. He would have had a really, really nice run on the Haas driver in front, but unfortunately just had to back out the throttle and sit behind the Haas once more. But Roberts really is fighting for this one. He has the pace. He said it beforehand, as Quantum has this huge slide through Dunlop, manages to keep the car in a straight line somehow. He's nearly parallel to the circuit, and Quantum 1.7 seconds behind. Bobbert needs to get by quickly and then use every last bit of his mediums to catch up to Gabor, because Gabor is really starting to fly off in this race.
Yes, Bobberts with a great opportunity of maybe even second in this one, but Gabor's gone at the front. 1.9 seconds is his race to lose from this point onwards, and I think those mediums may make the end. Of course, they say 5 laps, but we did run some under the safety car. This is our 4th lap of racing, so They've done 2 pretty much on the safety car, so if you want to calculate it that way. Ian under pressure from Martin now. It seems like Ian just doesn't have the pace on these hard tyres, but keep an eye on Bobberts looking for this one on Quantum. Down in towards turn number 1. Look at Ian as well, having to defend from TRL Martin. We saw Ian get out of shape the last time round. That's why he lost a handful of spaces to Quantum and Bobberts. Here we go then, down towards turn number 1. Quantum in second, Bobberts in third. Bobberts goes for it. Bobberts gets it. Look at Martin in the background. He goes for it. Can he get it the long way around the outside? No, he cannot. The Alfa Romeo not able to make it successfully. Bobberts up to second spot. Now the job is trying to hunt down Gabor, but I'm not necessarily sure he could do it unless there is a huge pace advantage compared to Quantum. But Bobberts was happy with his pace before the race. He's going to be very happy with it now. He's just going to try drag every ounce out of that Red Bull.
Yeah, he certainly does, but Quantum is all over the back of him still through that first sector. The hard tyres aren't really falling off for Quantum. It just seems that all Ian's struggling with maybe is he's got a little bit too little front downforce, and it's really struggling with the front end rotation through the first sector, and being in the dirty air, that just hampers his turning more. So he really is just struggling for the front end rotation through the corners, and he's not really been getting what he needs. But TRL Martin now under pressure from Ogwin behind, so that might relieve some pressure for the Williams drivers. We now head up to 1:30 for the 18th time in this Grand Prix. Ogwin using his battery, maybe going to go for the move on the Alfa Romeo in front into the Casio Triangle, but they're gaining on Ian down the straight into the Casio Triangle. They're all single file once again, a little bit of contact made in amongst the pack here, but Martin not getting the run that he needs. Ogwin does have the DRS, Martin doesn't, so Ogwin got to go to the inside, is he? Yes, he is. Ogwin to the inside. Is he going to get the move done? This could be crucial for the championship. Down the inside, Ogwin up into P5, and his championship rival Joe Murphy down in 13th, out of DRS from the back of this train because Ruben is. So this is really crucial for Ogwin to gain as many positions as possible, and maybe we could see the first time this season the championship lead changes hands.
Yeah, great move that from Ogwin, and that's something Joe Murphy lacks in his vast resume of racing abilities, is the ability to cut through the pack. He just struggles with it. You can see him right behind Ruben having a wobble out of Degner curve, and look, a twist of the inside. Oh, TRL Martin goes round. He's been dived by the Alpha Tauri, and that was a horrible move from OP Twist. TRL Martin spins round. It's heartbreak for the Alfa Romeo here in his first appearance in Tier 2, I believe. And Martin spins round down to 14th. That's awfully disappointing. It's going to be very, very frustrating, that one, for TRL Martin. He's off and onto the gravel, and that's going to be the end of the evening, I think, for Martin. Very, very sad, that one, because he was running a great race. Here comes Furious all around the outside. He's on all the way off onto the gravel through 130 or as we cut to the Haas. He was trying an audacious send on ETA. Dirk was not listening to that for a second, gave him the shove, but we didn't really see what happened, so it could have been complete reversal. Here comes Venom looking for this one as well. Quantum gets past Bobberts for second position, but we're going to stick with Bobberts' teammate Venom in towards turn number 1, gives the McLaren the shove. Dirk goes out to the outside. It was Furious who got the shove from Dirk. Venom, revenge for the Xbox, gives Dirk an even bigger shoulder onto the curb through turn 1. This is getting scrappy. This is like a 12-round fight on the zone, this one. What a scrap these lot are having in the mid-pack. It's getting personal, and this is a true racing spectacle. Bobberts is losing a bit of time, though. It seems like those hard tyres are picking up, and as I say, that huge mistake from Quantum. Bobberts, though, seemed to have lifted off a little bit. Doesn't fancy going for this one at an early stage. He does need to keep an eye on Ian, though, because Ian is going to be someone who's going to attempt to stick one up the inside through turn number 10. He's gone for an audacious move before, may well go for something exquisite again, and Elite Risks does overtake Furious. I think Furious may have picked up a bit of damage from that incident with the McLaren of Twist, because he's lost loads of spots since that incident happened.
Yeah, Furious, it's so unfortunate. He had such a good start to this race, but ever since that safety car, it's just never picked back up, really. He's tried fighting his way through the field. Dirk shoved him off, and there's nothing he really could have done. But Gabor starting to stretch his legs out in the lead of this race. But this train of cars behind Quantum, the racing is getting very, very spicy. Everyone going for moves. They know We are getting to that point in the race where you have to make these moves and have to get moves done. Now, will Roberts go to the inside and Quantum? No, he just backs off once again, but this could invite Ian down the inside, but no. Just not close enough for Ian. And Ogween, he probably be looking at these drivers in front and licking his lips with the opportunities that he might have if he just saves that battery a bit more to get past the likes of Boberts, Ian and Quantum in front of him, and that's going to be so crucial for the championship. OP Twist as well, it's unfortunately he had that incident with Martin because at the start of the race he was defending so well and he tried the move, unfortunately tagged the back of the Alfa Romeo, and Martin got sent into the spin as Joe Murphy gets past Dirk. I think Dirk made a mistake out of Degner too, and that's Joe Murphy. We say you said that he couldn't fight his way through the field, but obviously he is picking up from the scraps, he's picking up the mistakes, and that is exactly what he needs to do to get closer to Ogween and make sure he minimises the amount of points he loses in this championship fight.
But that is what he's good at. He's good at just capitalising on other people's mistakes, and he's doing that once again, and he's good at race management. Obviously, we've seen that 4 times this season, where he's won those 4 races. Here comes Venom and Stonks. Is Stonks going to keep a wheel up the inside? Nope. Sits behind the Red Bull. He's not going to dare stick a wheel up the inside there, but he's going to have a go around the outside, it seems. No, Venom able to break a lot later into that corner, unless it was just a cautious approach from Stonks, which could well be. Venom's got way out of the line there, hitting the grass, heading through the final corner. Going to be a bit of grass on his wheels there, as Dirk is out. The Grand Prix pulled into the pit lane and retired from this one, so that's a position for everyone who was behind him. Dirk becomes our 4th retirement here this evening. TL Martin still soldiering on. Got to respect that. I respect anyone who carries on in league racing, because some people quit way too easily. Martin, not one of those, a determined fella, and is up to 13th now. Maybe he might be able to scrape himself a point or two, because, oh, well, that's a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, but that can be removed, because that is for the car in the pit lane. So do ignore that one. That was Dirk into the pit lane. Boberts has made a mistake. Boberts is losing time. What's happened to Boberts? He's lost 2 positions. Boberts is losing time. Ogween runs wide, heading through the turn 10 hairpin. Boberts seems to have picked up the pace now. It was just a brief issue for Boberts, but he's fallen off the podium, and the bad Boberts luck is hitting once again, it seems, here in World Online Racing Tier number 2. It's happened so many times this season. In the Netherlands could have been a great result. In Abu Dhabi could have been a great result. But he's always just hit with a stroke of bad luck. That could be that stroke of bad luck that's just occurred there. But he's still in 5th, can still easily fight for a potential podium. But he's got work to do now. Got to get the head down and got to go for this one. Ian, however, crucially won't have DRS. And I think he could be swallowed up by Ogween. What an opportunity this is for Ogween. If he could take a podium when Joe hasn't necessarily had the best day, that would be truly something else. But as you can see, Ian, red light flashing in front. Look at the gain, look at the gain, look at the gain for the Alpine. Look at the position for Ogween. He's up onto the podium here in Japan.
Beautiful from Ogween there. He knew he had to get the move done as quickly as he possibly can. Used a bunch of his battery to get past the Williams as well. It's unfortunate for Boberts. I think he's gone wide on the exit, the second Degner. Either beached it on the curb, of just got a bit wide into the gravel, and of course that loses you so much momentum, and it cost him those 2 places there, and it's going to be hard to bring them back up because he was struggling slightly before that, just with overall pace here, and he's under pressure from OP Twist behind. So Boberts starting to struggle. His luck just isn't with him so far this season, and hopefully he is able to get on the rostrum in this race or the next 2 that happen. But it's super unlucky for Boberts, and he's now under pressure from the AlphaTauri behind. I mean, Twist has lost a bit of time. He's made a bit of a mistake through Spoon Curve as well, so now Venom might try to capitalise on the sister team, AlphaTauri versus Red Bull, as they now head up into 130R. Could Venom go for it again? He's going for it around the outside. Will Twist keep a wheel down the inside? Yes, he is, but Venom, with the overspeed, manages to get another move done as they head into 130R. He's up into 6th place. Venom driving very aggressively and getting those moves done as soon as he has a sniff of the opportunity.
Now, if Venom catches his teammate Boberts here, what's the play going to be? But we'll wait and see, because Boberts goes for the outside on Ian. This is pure aggression from Boberts. He wants to get back on this rostrum, and Boberts, no, wasn't able to get it done. Ian defends through turn number 1. Wasn't necessarily the ideal run from Boberts through that first corner, going for the outside. You ideally want the inside, so you can have the inside for the next corner as well. Boberts Now, just going for whatever move he can, it seems. He's going to hope for a mistake from Ogwyn and Ian in front, pardon me, so Bobberts can get onto that podium. We'd love to have a post-race interview from Bobberts where he is on the podium. Of course, we've spoken to him this season, but he hasn't been on the podium. He did a sympathy interview, I think, because we didn't get anyone an awful lot of races. Hopefully we can hear from some of our top three at the end of the evening, as there goes Joe Murphy, championship leader, up back past Stonks. Stonks has actually hit the back of the Aston Martin on the exit of that corner. Got an unbelievable piece of traction on that Aston Martin. Here he goes, going to look up the inside in towards Spoon Curve. This is brave from Stonks. This is really, really brave from Stonks. Up the inside. What a piece of driving from the Williams. Wow. Just wow, that's brilliant racing from Stonks. Pure bravery, pure utter bravery into that corner. But here comes Joe Murphy again. Is he going to go for it Fernando Alonso style? No, he's not. Goes for the outside into the Casio triangle. The Aston Martin late on the brakes, a lot later than the Williams was. He tries to look in and out and turn him all about, exiting the final corner, both using all of the battery possible. But quite crucially, Joe Murphy is the DRS and Slipstream, the McLaren behind, looking to capitalise on this one as well. They go free abreast into the corner. Ruben comes out on top. You could not even imagine how much skill that takes to pull that move off into turn 1 at Suzuka. Ruben's made it look easy. My goodness me, is that a turn for the books? Ruben up to 8th, Joe 9th, Stonks 10th. The complete swap order that they entered the straight with.
Wow, just wow, Ruben. What a move that was from you. I mean, I'm speechless after that one. He committed so much to that overtake that if anyone moved over slightly, there was going to be contact due to how committed Ruben was. He wasn't going to back out of that one. He had the overspeed. He had that DRS and the battery advantage over the two in front of him. And he made them pay for their battery management. And Ruben, a brilliant move there. Probably overtake of the race, maybe even of the season that we've seen so far. It was that good. Heading into turn 1. Ogwyn dropping off the DRS from Quantum as well. This could maybe be the turning point between the hard tyres and the mediums, because Quantum has gained on Gabor, and it does seem those medium tyres might be starting to hit that cliff where these drivers on the hards are slowly going to start coming into their own. So we're just going to have to wait and see as this race progresses, as we've got 2 laps to go in this one. Ogwyn still just within the DRS of Quantum, going back down to the Ruben battle. No, I don't think there's going to be any moves made from Joe Murphy or Stonks. But now we just look further at the front. Can Ogwyn keep with Quantum? And can he get the move done on the Haas in front of him? It's going to be extremely difficult, especially with how worn those mediums are going to get. But we're just going to have to wait and see as Ian starting to put pressure on the Alpine in front of him.
Podium's gone for Bobberts. He's completely fallen by the wayside since picking up that 3-second time penalty, and he's going to fall further down the order. Oh, and he's going to fall even further down the order. Bobberts loses it once again through the Degner curves, and he's down to 7th with a 3-second time penalty, which is going to drop him. It's going to drop him to 10th, so he's going to still get a solitary point for his efforts here, but it could have been so much more for Bobberts, and my heart does go out to him, because he's a man who puts an awful lot of effort into this tier, our tier coordinator, of course, and one of the higher-ups at World Online Racing, but from a racing perspective, it's not been the best of luck necessarily for him. It's Ian versus Ogwyn for the podium now, though, and be a great race for Ian if he could get a podium. Obviously, he's a man who's won a race so far this season, so he's very high standards, but I think a podium here in a race like this on the arguably worst strategy would be a great effort. Here we go again then. Joe gets past Ruben. Oh, Ruben sent off the track and Stonks goes round. Oh, that's a bit of a freak accident. Stonks has retired from the race, and he's no front wing. He's retired on circuit, which may well give him a penalty. Here comes Bobberts up the inside of the AlphaTauri of OP Twist. The AlphaTauri still on the outside. Bobberts gets that one done. Look, I know Bobberts, and I know Bobberts' driving style, and this is just pure fury and anger that this Red Bull is going around the circuit in. He doesn't have a care in the world for who's in front of him. He's actually going to benefit from that incident we saw behind, because that now promotes Elite Risks up to 9th, who already has a penalty. He's not going to drop behind him, and he could well drop Joe Murphy out of his DRS as well, meaning Bobberts would only lose one position subsequently. But he'll TRL Martin losing a spot as well. Typical gets the job done. It's all kicking off here in the final lap at Suzuka. We need more laps in this race. I'm sure Steve is there going, my goodness me, Evan, what are you saying? I just want to go for the evening. But we need some more laps here in Suzuka. We need an extension to the Grand Prix. This second stint in the race has been nothing but class from the majority of these guys. It's been nothing but beautiful. And here comes Gabor, though, heading down towards 130 or. I say we need more laps. Quantum will be hoping for more. He's clawed in on the Ferrari in front of him. He's now 1.4 seconds into the Casio triangle, but it's not enough. Gabor joined the Scuderia, and now he will put himself in Ferrari history. There's a Hungarian winner in WOR crossplay. Gabor takes the win in Suzuka. He was oh so confident coming into the race, and he's backed it up. Gabor, been there, done that. Maybe not bought the t-shirt, but he's taken 25 points with him.
Brilliant race there from Gabor, and you say I wanted to go home, but no, I wish there was more laps to that one, because with Quantum gaining, that could have been such a thrilling end to the Grand Prix, and it was just unfortunate how Quantum lost so much time behind some of the other drivers. But brilliant race there from Gabor from that safety car restart, never looked back, and just was so fast on those medium tyres that he was able to pull out that gap and not have to worry about Quantum behind. Good race from Ogween as well, coming from 12th on the grid up to 3rd, and Ian so close to another podium this season. Would have made it 2 podiums in a row, of course, 1 last time out, and would have got his 2nd podium of the season here today if he just was able to hold on. But unfortunately, 4th place for him, and Ogween with a massive dent into the championship lead. Now I think it's only down to about 2 to 3 points for the championship lead, so we are going to be in for an emphatic end to the season. 2 races to go, and we did have 2 points a few races ago, and then it extended again, so we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with this championship fight.
Of course, it's Joe and Ogween's backyard next week, both British drivers. So that's going to be a really intriguing one. There's 2 British drivers on the podium here as well, but it's the Hungarian of Gabor who is on top. Joe is furious. That's not a pun on the man in 3rd place. He is not happy. He said this tier is actually a joke, he said, and I would presume, and that's in relation to the battle with Ruben. He's come out and said to Ruben that your only goal was to hold me up that race. I don't want to hear it. Joe is, he's not happy at all. And is it rightfully so? That'll be for the stewards to decide. Gabor, though, takes the win here in Suzuka. Quantum in 2nd, but Ogween in 3rd. Then it's Ian Van Unen in 4th, losing out on the podium. Venom in 5th, Twist in 6th. Then Bobberts, Joe Murphy, Ruben, Typical, Jack, and Furious. Then it was TRL Martin, and your non-finishers were Elite Risks, Stonks, Dirk, Rain, Lars, and Schumacher. There's going to be a hefty penalty, I'd say, coming for Stonks, because he did punt off Ruben late in the Grand Prix. It's not looking like we're going to get anybody for interviews, unfortunately, folks. But Steve, do you have a driver of the day by any chance?
Driver, I'm just going to give it to Gabor. He drove so well in that race, and even on the hard tyres, just really managed that race well. And yeah, I'm going to give that one to Gabor. Really good drive from him. And about that Joe Murphy and Ruben thing, I think what caused Stonks to hit Ruben off the circuit was, I think Ruben did the good old trick of waiting for DRS by pressing the brakes. He's brake checked Stonks. Stonks got into the back of him, lost his front wing. Then he's just lost his head and just straight lined Ruben at the second part of the Casio triangle. So I think that's what happened. I don't know, but my best guess is that, because that's what it looked like from when I went on board. So yeah, it's just an unfortunate incident, and yeah, but driver of the day is Gabor on a high note, and yeah, really, really well driven from him, and thoroughly deserved race win.
Unfortunately, we're not going to hear from Gabor. We're not going to hear from anyone once again in the post-race interviews. But folks, we've got a lot for you to look forward to next week. As you can see the calendar on your screen, it is Silverstone next time out, and on the 12th, or is that 13th? Hold on, let me go close to the laptop. Yeah, it's 13th of October is Silverstone, and then 20th of October is Brazil, and then we are done. But do we want to be done? Not necessarily, because this is going to be a corker of a finish. Make sure to keep an eye on all our social channels for updates on various tiers. We will update you before the start of next week if anything's changed in terms of results for the start of next week's race, of course, on the stream. We'll update you on absolutely anything. But yes, folks, I think that's all we've got time for here in Suzuka. Steve, any thoughts on that one, or any thoughts looking forward to next week?
Yeah, we're gonna have that championship battle. Both drivers should be in probably one of their best circuits, to be honest. But both, of course, being British drivers, and the circuit is just so good to drive on for this game. And another entertaining one. That circuit always delivers, and hopefully it will be a race where it goes down to the wire.
Hopefully it will be. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into World Online Racing. We're going to let you go catch the end of the CPT1 race with James Head and somebody, because I don't know who, to be brutally honest, but it's somebody. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to join us in Suzuka. And from myself and Steve, who is alongside me, oh my god, I pointed the right way for once. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next time. Bye-bye.